What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today when I talk to you about SoFi, I want to go over some of the current data points, break down on what really moved in, go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 1.24%, 21.32 the low, 22.12 the high, and very low volume. So 48.1 million shares being traded, 81.02 is the average. And that wasn't just SoFi, that's been pretty much the common occurrence over the last 2 days. It's just extremely low volume. And I think institutions are waiting for either the next big catalyst, so like a confirmed rate cut, or potentially just calming, maybe a full day of no fears whatsoever. Because even when I did my pre-market video, I already had kind of seeing some comments about Trump complaining about India and also Europe potentially raising the tariffs on both of those, and then you had him complaining about Powell as well. So wasn't really that great. And in SoFi's case though, you did have good old Tim. So damn Tim from KBW did give a sell $14 price target. Tim, on a side note, has a 58% success rating. So in all fairness, not all that bad, but this is something I've complained about in the past. What logical analyst would give a sell rating when SoFi's been hitting like massive record growth? And I get it. Some people might argue saying that SoFi on a technical standpoint is overdone, which might be so, but then again, so is the broader market. So if you're assuming SoFi is going to go down, you're pretty much assuming the broader market's going to go down. But still, to give a $14 sell rating and you're getting paid, I originally thought, I think I put down, or I mentioned in my last video, like between 80 and 120. Someone actually told me that they can be paid up to $150,000 a year. So Tim somehow gives a $14 sell. You also have Giuliano, Compass Point, a $6 sell. What analyst in the right mind would give a $6 sell? Unless they estimate World War III. Maybe those are World War III prices. I'm not really sure. So in reality, that kind of pushed SoFi down a little bit. And there wasn't really that much on a macro standpoint that came out today. We had balance of trade, but it came in somewhat better than anticipated. But even prior to that, Trump already kind of complained and laid the foundation for just a lot of uncertainty. Specific to SoFi, there wasn't really any news, no SEC filings or anything along those lines. Shorts did return 426,000 shares, so they took advantage of kind of the sell-off today and did return. And this is something that I've been mentioning over the last couple of videos, is that I do feel that shorts are going to continue to return slowly, nothing massive. So they're not going to return like 10 million in one day, but they will be slowly returning over the next month or several months. And so that's a good thing, right? Because I think SoFi, normally shorts like to target either stocks are like high with retail presence or that aren't profitable. But SoFi has really been saying F you and just been hitting home run earnings. So I think that is going to be a natural deterrent against shorts. So that could really stand to benefit that. When it comes to options though, you did see 20 million in calls, 4.96 million in puts. And I know this sounds stupid, but that was kind of low on the dollar value in comparison to the norm. But 46% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature. So big money is assuming that there's going to be more downside. Most of the puts were actually done in the first 1 hour of the trading day. So something to keep in mind. But from a bulls standpoint, you do still see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $22 to $23 range. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly about 21 to 2050 for the most part. So pretty much where we're at a little bit. So let me know your viewpoint on that. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So a couple $1 million transactions. You had an $18 million sell that was near the market close. But throughout the day, you did have just a lot of selling, which was rather unfortunate. It wasn't just full on selling. You had pockets of buys, but of course, if you had overwhelming amount of buys, it would have been green. So let me know your viewpoint and what potentially big money might be waiting for. I think logically speaking, it would be either some tariff clarification or either a rate cut. I think that's kind of what the market does truly want at this stage in the game. And yesterday was a good representation of that. Aside from all that, these are all the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So no crazy transactions after hours. And even throughout the day, not really that much going on. Aside from all that though, with it closing at 21.54, I think AMD is pulling down the market a little bit after hours, but with it closing at 21.54, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. Interestingly enough, during the pre-market, it did look like it wanted to break above this pivot point. So even when I did my pre-market video, I said 22.26 is going to be that key point to really watch for. And if it does close above that, then you'll see easily 24, but once the market did open, it just went straight down like a rock. So that's going to be a kind of a point to watch for in the next couple of trading days is 22.26. Then flip side to 20.47 is going to be the next strong support, and that wasn't tested today. Last time that was tested is when they kind of announced that issuance. It touched that during the overnight. But aside from that and the new ratings that did come out, there hasn't been any articles really talking about SoFi. A lot of just comparison for speculative stocks, but aside from all of that fun stuff, on the actual chart itself, it did close below the ALMA, so it does show some signs that it wants to consolidate a little bit further. That super trend is at 20.27, so that's going to be another point to really watch for. If it does get below that, then it does signal a trend change. Algorithmic trading is going to factor that in and really suppress SoFi, so just keep that in mind as well. So that's roughly around that 20.27 mark. Stochastic RSI is very oversold, so a good piece of news, whether it be specific to SoFi or the broader market, you could see a nice push higher. But as I've mentioned on my weekend video, there's not really much coming out this week that could justify like a big inverse kind of a reversal. And even if a lot of these data points come in, like let's say negative, and justify a rate cut, like the market's already priced in a 25 basis point cut for September and now a 25 for October. Now we just have to pretty much sit tight and wait for a month and a half and speculate on that. So let me know your general thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Did you buy? Did you sell? What's your viewpoint on all of those crack addict kind of analysts giving $6 price targets? That's just absolutely insane. Or do you actually believe that is realistic? Do you think that is potentially coming? And do you think that would be because of just SoFi being overvalued or just the broader market? What's your kind of 2 cents on all of that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.